That'll wake you up.
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
If it's Wednesday morning for you, hey, how's it going? Hope you turned this on as soon as you got in the car or as soon as you woke up. We are coming to you from the wild, wild western side of San Antonio, from the JD Bar and Grill mobile studios. It's the Smokin Gunz podcast. How's it going?
Pretty good.
My name is Philip Biggenbotham. I'm here with RC Woods
Hola.
and Leo Llamas.
What's up, Gunslingers posse?
We're going to discuss football. We're going to discuss football in San Antonio. We're going to discuss football in San Antonio, specifically centered on the San Antonio Gunslingers and the American Arena League, the greatest thing to happen to football since, ever. There are multiple ways you can get a hold of and communicate with this show. You can find us on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way to find us.
I would say so.
SmokinGunzPod. We're also on Twitter. We don't use that as much. We need to use it more.
We should.
You can email the show if you use email. My daughter, who is going to be a senior next year, has to text me anytime she's going to send out an email because she has to make sure she's using email correctly. So apparently this is not a thing that the new generation coming in does.
Really?
They apparently do not email well because she has to screenshot the email for me and say, is this okay?
Wow. Interesting.
It's too complicated. They can't.
If you're an email kind of person, you can email the show at SmokinGunzPod. That's Smokin' OG Guns with a Z. POD at gmail.com. You can send us a voice message on SpeakPipe. That's speakpipe.com/SmokinGunzPod. Same way, Smokin' OG Guns with a Z. POD.
Speak to us.
You can talk to us. It'll only give you 90 seconds. I guess you could talk for 90 seconds and then get out and then go back in and do another 90 seconds, and we could edit it all together if you had this really long opinion. I mean, we could do that. It's best if you keep it to 90 seconds. It's better that way.
I'm still waiting for Monique and Iris.
That's true.
They got called out by Herman.
They sure did.
And
they haven't answered the call.
They've never jumped on.
Shame on you guys.
Come on,
We
girls.
love you, though.
Come on, ladies.
Well, in Gunslingers world, there was kind of a big deal a week ago. We record on Mondays. That's no secret. And last Monday, there was a football game.
There sure was.
I used this terminology at the end of the game the other night, and it might have been hyperbolic simply because the game had just happened. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel any differently now. It was an instant classic.
Yes.
It was an amazing game, mostly because of an amazing ending.
It was epic.
It was.
Yes.
It was one of those things that I think as we move through the years as Gunslingers fans, this will be the game that we remember from the first season.
The highlight.
In
for sure.
theory.
I don't think that could be topped.
It reminded me, the 2-point conversion, and we're going to talk about that, and we may talk about that for a few weeks, reminds me in some way, there's some sort of connective tissue between the 2-point conversion in last Monday night's game and the Washington sack for the Commanders.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, it is just kind of a benchmark sort of
defining moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know how you're listening to the show and don't know that there was a game that was not even back and forth. There was no. It was really just brutal defensively, kind of on both sides of the ball. Both defenses really did not give either offense a whole lot of room to breathe past the first quarter. In the first quarter, it feels like North Texas kind of had something rolling, and then the San Antonio Gunslingers defense said, "No, we're not going to let you come into the Rose Palace and
do that.
Put up 60 points again."
No.
That's not going to happen.
They stopped them like a couple of inches short of scoring to end the half.
Right.
That was huge.
Yeah. North Texas goes up 14-0 in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, and I don't know, I've watched it, but I have not listened to it. I don't like listening to myself a whole bunch. But I don't know if you can tell. I was nervous at that point that we were going to get run out of the building a little bit.
Were you?
There was a little bit of fear of this is not going well. We're down 14-0. We're already down two possessions, and we haven't done anything. We haven't. I was I was concerned.
There was no juice on offense.
No.
It was,
Definitely needed like a kickstart.
Then we got that with a touchdown. The first touchdown was, does anybody remember?
The what?
The first touchdown.
That was like a long time ago now.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And there's so much that happened in that game after that like the first touchdown. But I don't remember.
Was that the one to Joey Fisher?
No.
No, that was the second one.
No, the Joey Fisher touchdown was in the second half, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't remember who. There was David Anzaldúa and Joey Fisher.
Whatever that first touchdown was, it gave me, it allowed me to breathe, the fan side of me to breathe a little bit. And I'm like, 14-7's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's doable.
We can come back from that. And then almost immediately, 14-7 turns to 14-9 with the safety. Right?
That was cool.
There was only 3 scores. It was David Anzaldúa, Joey Fisher, and Sean Mueller.
And Sean
So it had to
Mueller
be
right
one
at
of
the
those
end.
3, and
You're
Mueller
right.
was at the
Yeah.
end. So it was either you know what? It was the Anzaldúa one. That's what it was.
Well, that was a good one.
Yes.
I love seeing a big guy score a touchdown.
Yeah, second time they've used that play this season.
Yeah, and it
It
works.
works,
Yes.
obviously.
And I'm surprised we don't see it more in the indoor game because one of the linemen has to report as a tight end is actually reporting as a receiver.
Right. That's every down.
But you don't think about that. Defensive I
No.
really don't feel like anybody thinks about that lineman moving out into a flat or moving out into a pattern because you've got to keep so many people back to try to protect and give your quarterback any amount of time. So I don't think that gets thought of a lot. I'm surprised we don't see those plays more often. But David has scored on that twice now.
Yep.
Scored on it against the Raiders
Mississippi.
in
Yep.
Mississippi, and then did it the other night. So 14-9 was the halftime score. It felt a lot better than the 14-0.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you felt like, okay, we've got an option here, or we've got an opportunity here. And then the second half started, and I've gone back and watched it. The third quarter is really boring. Like, not a lot happens in the third quarter, except the stops. One of the stops happened in the third quarter, I believe, right at the end of the third quarter, right?
Yes, I think you're right. Yep.
Well, you guys
One of the
might
goal
have-
line
You
stands,
might have
right?
thought it was boring, but over in the fans, we were having some issues. So
Uh-oh.
here
Fans
we go.
are always having some issues.
Yeah, we are.
She's about to give us the cheese.
Okay, so this is the cheese man. You're hearing this on Cinco de Mayo, so I may throw in some Spanish words like today. I said hola, you know? Okay, anyway. I was sitting right behind Roller's mom, and she had gotten these really cool cowbells, right? And so we kind of felt like we got really excited with that, you know, because we were like together.
Right.
And so anytime Roller was out there, we were like banging, 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 right? So anyway, someone from the Dashers came up to us and said, "You're making too much noise. You know, our guys are going to lose." And then, of course, she, as a mom, said, "That's my son out there. Don't tell me."
Right.
You know, you don't tell me I can't cheer for my son.
For sure.
And then he said, "What, you want your son to lose?" And there was like silence in the stands because obviously the mom does not want him to lose. you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so there was like a little bickering there. And oh, sorry about that. And I think it was one of the friends from the Nelsons. I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't the dad. It was the other guy who was hanging out with the Nelsons, Greg Nelson and Kim Nelson.
Okay.
Anyway, so there was a little back and forth, and then her husband had to defend her, you know what I mean? So then, like, as he's talking, he's, like, ringing the cowbell, you know what I mean, as the guy's talking to his wife.
So we're making noise while the Gunslingers are on offense. Is
Yes.
that what the
Yes.
fan took exception
Yes.
to?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was upset.
Maybe a little bit of holdover from the whole
Commanders
Back
thing.
in
You
the
know,
Commanders
Yes.
days, yeah.
I could see how some hardcore football fans can be a little frustrated
They
with
do.
how other fans don't quite get how, as an audience, you can contribute to
Right.
the game. So
So then after that was going on, then Steve-O came to sit next to me. He's like, I got to talk to you. And I was like, okay. He's like, don't cheer. And I was like, okay. So now we got 2 people already telling us. So then it almost put like a pause. And I think that's why it was boring because we didn't know what to cheer, you know what I mean? So I kind of felt that in the fans was a turning point. But back to the field.
I'm going to be as nice as I can, but I've gotten more cantankerous over the last over this season. I feel like I used to be
Cantankerous. I like
Wow,
that
that's
word.
but
a
I'm
big
getting
word.
more and more cantankerous with people. I certainly went off
Can
the
you
last
give that
time we
translation in
recorded.
Spanish? What does that mean?
I
in
have no
Spanish?
idea. You're talking to the wrong person. I really went off on referees, and we've got more information on that.
Yeah, we do.
In the last episode we recorded, and so I'm going to try to be as nice as I possibly can.
All right.
You people sometimes pick the weirdest things to fight over. And I'm not talking to you, RC.
Right.
I'm talking to people. Don't cheer too loud or our guys will lose. Look, they're professional football players. If you cheering so loud causes them to lose, that's not on the crowd at that point to me.
Yeah.
You people are picking some weird things to start fights between Gunslingers fans.
And we're the
over.
fans. Exactly.
It's not like it's a stadium with, 50, 60,000 people in there either, it's but you're closer in there, it gets louder. I could understand the complaint, but
I
I can
guarantee
also
you, if it is causing a problem on the field,
coaches will turn around.
coaches or Dave Olvera or David Enseldua or one of those receivers is going to let the crowd know that y'all need to quiet down.
Yeah, 'cause
like,
they're
they're
right
going to
there.
let you know.
They're
Yeah.
right there. Yeah. Mhm.
Let the players on the field decide what's going to work and what's not. I'm trying to be nice
I mean, there was one point
because part
in
of me
the
just
game-
wants to say, "Shut up."
There was one. There was one.
But I'm not going to do that. I
Right.
would never say that to you guys as fans. But there's a part of me that I'm holding back that wants to say, "Shut up." What a whiny thing to gripe over. Gosh, shut up. I'm glad I don't say that because that would sound mean.
it would sound mean.
So I'm not going to say it that way. But there's a part of me that wants to say, "Good God, shut up."
But you're not saying it.
No,
No,
I'm
you're
not going to say
saying-
that.
No, don't say that.
No, I refuse to say that.
There was a point in the game that Coach Q, and I wasn't sure why at that point. It was during the whole fiasco that I know we're going to talk about later, but Coach Q actually turned around and told the crowd to be quiet at one point. But it wasn't during gameplay.
Right.
And I didn't understand that. I mean, but we didn't know what was going on down on the field. We were trying to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, that was in the 2-point kerfuffle after.
Yes.
That was a.
Yes. So the point
Well, that's
being,
a
like
whole
you're
different
saying,
That's a whole different
if
situation.
the coaches
there.
or the players feel the need that it needs to be quieter from the stands, they will direct that to.
And they're not shy. They're
No.
going to tell you if
Oh, yeah.
something is bothering them or they need your help on something.
Yeah.
They're going to let you know. So yeah, I mean, a meaner Phillip would have some words for you people. That seems ridiculous. To
Well,
me.
let's back it up just a little bit more. Okay.
Okay, we're backing
Okay.
up.
Backing it up to tailgating. Remember I passed out all those yellow towels? How did that come across? Because that was funny.
It was funny. So here's the deal. We're standing up in the booth, getting everything set up, getting everything ready. And these two older guys, three, I guess, older guys are down underneath the balcony where we are. And if you've been out to the games, you know what we're talking about. And they look up at me and they make eye contact with me and they go, "Did you ever get your rule book?"
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know who these people are. Like
Yeah.
they're dressed in, collared shirts, like business-ish attire and
no
jeans or
zebra
whatever.
suits, right? No zebra suits.
No.
Nothing like
zebra
that.
suits.
So I have no idea who they are. And I said, "No, but if you've got one,
Hey, I'll take it.
I'll take it."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "All right, I'll be right up." And so he starts coming up, and I'm like, "I have no idea who this is."
shoot.
Well, I had talked to the guys from North Texas, their media guys, a little bit, and I'd found out that recently, in fact, that weekend, the league president, owner, commissioner, whatever you want to call him, I think his name is Tony, had been at one of the other games, and I was like, "Is this have I ticked off the commissioner? Like
Oh
this is
no. We're in trouble.
And so
now.
I'm starting to sweat a little bit. And,
Way to go, Phillip.
and so these guys come up. Well, it turns out it was our officiating crew,
Oh, okay.
Yes. Terry,
Oh, Terry.
and Gary.
Gary.
Oh,
and
really? That sounds like a cartoon character.
Well, that's
Terry and Jerry.
There's Terry and Gary and gosh, I can't remember the third one. Something starts with an L.
Larry?
No.
No, but that would have been great. That would have been really funny.
Yeah. I
In any
forgot.
case, so it's them, and they really did. They were super nice guys.
Yes.
They talked with us about some of the rules that we've had questions on in the midst of broadcasts. And I believe they actually listened to the show, not just the broadcast, but the show.
He said that they did, yeah.
And so I told him before he left, like we had talked about all the rules and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, by the way, just so you know, we kind of have this thing set up tonight. And he goes, oh, I know.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he was fully aware. They were fully aware of what to expect. And they thought it was great.
Oh, good.
Like
good,
they were, I don't want to say they were excited about it, but they were like, no problem. You know, it's all about fan engagement. That's great.
Oh, good.
We're good.
I didn't piss anybody off.
No, I know there was somebody on the Facebook page that was worried that we were going to upset the referees and cause our boys a harder time because we were making fun of the referees. I can guarantee you, after talking with Terry and his crew, that's not how they took it at all.
They had no problem with it. They thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They even said something about, hey, if I can't find my flag, maybe I'll just grab one of the ones that the guys
you go.
Right, because I kind of wanted to, I wanted to let them know. I was like, we did, ask fans to not throw them on the field or anything because we could see how that could be a problem. And the ref was like, if they throw one out there, I'll just pick it up. No big deal.
Well, I specifically told them, I go, look, when I was passing them out in the tailgating, I'm like, look, they know that I'm the only person passing them out besides the Nelsons.
Right.
And I was like,
Greg and Kim had some,
yes.
you had some.
So if you throw it on the field, they're going to come after me. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, here, see, we won't do it, So really good. Even I gave some even to the other team, some of the fans. And so it was all in fun,
I'll tell you, it was actually very helpful from the booth because there are times when we don't have a great angle up there. It's the best angle you could come up with in the Rose Palace, so it is what it is. But there are times that there was flags on the field that I didn't see.
We couldn't see them.
But I would see people waving, and I'm like, there's got to be a flag on the field because I'm seeing an indication that there's. So it was nice. And it made for a lot of fun.
It did. So fans, please bring them back next game.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's keep it up. I mean, hey, traditions are born somewhere, right?
Right.
Maybe this is a tradition in San Antonio. Hey, you can't look. We waved yellow flags. We beat the toughest team in our division.
True.
Why do you want to stop doing that?
Right.
Right.
I don't.
I would tell people to wear whatever they were wearing to that game, to this game.
Wear the same socks.
Yeah. And don't wash them.
Don't wash them in a month.
We don't want to change things too much. The two defensive stops were really impressive. Really the three, because you have the stop right there at the beginning of the end of the half, beginning of halftime, and then the two goal-to-go situations that the Gunslingers put themselves in and were able to stop North Texas. And
the safety.
I said this during the broadcast. Getting 1 yard, getting a touchdown from the 1 yard line for that team should really be simple.
With that
easy
enormous offensive line that they have.
Enormous offensive line and a big, strong quarterback that can just get in behind those guys and push. So the fact that they weren't able to and look, they tried. Like that was the intent.
Right.
And our defense just was not willing to give that up. It was really impressive. Really impressive.
I was cheering, pushing back, way back. So I think they heard me.
And now that we know the outcome of all of that, like literally every single play was huge. The safety was huge. You get 2 points on a safety,
right,
and you end up winning a game by 1 point. So that's a pretty huge play.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that the Bulls were playing to try and score at the end of the half, knowing that they'd get the ball the second half, and stopping them literally inches from the goal line to end the half becomes a huge play. Then getting the turnover on the initial possession on the second half, that is a huge. Every play ended up really counting as something to the outcome of this game when it's so close like that.
Right, and we're going to talk about this, and I was going to wait until we talk about the 2-point conversion. I know because I've had some conversations with Grayson Noletta, who is the play-by-play guy for North Texas. He's a really nice guy, actually. I had a conversation with him after the game the other day, the day after the game, and they were frustrated.
Were they?
With the way the game came out. And I get that. I understand that you lose a close game and you don't like that. But they were tending to feel like they were cheated. Is actually the word he used.
Yeah, I saw some complaints that they were cheated. I saw it from fans too, like, oh, they were cheated. Come on.
Here's
I
the
mean,
thing.
I know where you're going with this.
You give up
yes.
a safety. You fumble a kickoff, return,
Yep.
and give up that possession. You get stopped 3 times on the goal line.
4 times.
One there at the end of the
on
half.
3 possessions, but I'm saying 4 consecutive downs on
Right.
goal
Yeah.
to go, and they get stopped.
And that happens twice.
Yes.
They had their chances.
I realize that you can point to this one play right at the end of the game and go, gee, if they had called that differently, we would have won instead of lost. And you're right. But you had so many other opportunities to
Exactly.
affect the end of the game
And you couldn't get it done.
that you didn't get it done. It reminds me, and I realize that you're not here for hockey talk at all, but in 1999 when the Dallas Stars won the Stanley Cup, they won in Game 6 against Buffalo, and that's always been a really controversial call because the final goal was scored in the 3rd overtime of Game 6 by Brett Hull, and he was in the crease. And I'm a Dallas Stars fan, but I'll tell you, he was in the crease, which means there should have been no goal. They called it a goal anyway.
Okay.
And the Dallas Stars hoist the cup. And so forever, like you talk to Buffalo Sabres fans to this day, and they'll say no goal.
Yeah.
And so, but my thing is, it's the 3rd overtime
Right.
of Game 6.
They definitely had
You
opportunities.
had your opportunities
Exactly.
to not leave it in the hands of the referees
Right.
at this point. And you didn't do it. You can't really get upset. In the same way, the Mavericks lost a finals victory to or lost a final series to the Heat. And in the final game, the final seconds of the final game, Jason Terry threw up a 3-point shot that would have extended the series. His jersey was being ripped off him at the waist, and there was no call.
Right.
I can't get upset about that. They had plenty of other opportunities to win that series or extend that series. So I can't get mad about that missed call at the
Right,
end.
you can't.
Because so I get that Bulls fans, and I know we have some Bulls players and ownership and maybe even some of the coaches that listen to our show. I understand being upset.
Right, I get it.
It was a tight game. It
was a good game, though.
A good game. And I understand you feeling like you got hosed there at the end. We're going to talk a little bit in the next segment. Like, I want to spend the whole next segment talking about that play,
Okay.
if we can. But if that's the only thing you're pointing to, and like if this one thing had been different, we would have won. Well, no. There's other things that
Right.
could have been different, and you also could have won. Things that you were actually in control of. You're not in control of the referees.
Right.
Any good coach, any coach worth their salt will tell you,
Right.
we can't control what the refs do. We have to play our game independent of those guys.
True.
Yeah. Control what you can control and don't worry about the rest. Yep.
Exactly. Well, it didn't work out that way for the Bulls. It did work out that way for the Gunslingers. It was a call. It was about as close of a call. And like I say, I don't want to get too deep into it because I want to spend the whole next segment talking about this play, or the play that leads up to it in the play. Really the whole fourth quarter, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's about as close a play as you can imagine. Like
Right.
it is right on the line. It could have been called either way.
That's true.
Right. And whatever the call was, like going back and looking at it, it'd be hard to reverse it one way or the other.
And it wouldn't matter if you
yeah.
had full NFL coverage, multiple angles. Like
right.
I've watched
Slow-mo.
fan footage. I've watched our footage. Unfortunately, I haven't watched the North Texas footage because they were having internet trouble. I've
been there.
already told Grayson we've been there, and that stinks. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I've watched it from several different angles, and I can tell you that whatever way it got called, even if you'd had full coverage on it, is the way it would have stayed.
I will say, I wasn't going to say anything till the next segment, but since you've already went there, what I'll say is I've looked at several different angles too, from what fans recorded, what we got on tape and everything. When looking at it, I see angles that look like he definitely broke the plane. Like I would think he definitely broke the plane. And I've seen angles where I wasn't sure if he did or not. I did not find an angle where I looked at it and said, oh, he definitely did not break the plane.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, even the pictures that Ray took, you know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
like, it was really hard, so, yeah, it
So,
was hard.
We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the fourth quarter because the fourth quarter was really amazing on several different levels. But I think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that one play because that one play, and the kerfuffle after, which is just
what a kerfuffle!
the best word I could come up with for whatever that was. I want to talk some about that and maybe send a little message to the AAL. Hey, they've messed up. Because I complained about refereeing, and so the referees came up and talked to me, and I feel better now. You know what I figured out?
What?
If I complain about stuff, people will tell me what the deal is. So I'm going to send another message to the AAL.
Okay.
And see if we can get more things done.
Hey.
Make things happen. So we'll talk more about the fourth quarter when we come back. This is the Smokin Gunz Podcast. We'll be right back with you after this. We are excited. We are always excited to talk about JD's Bar and Grill. JD's Bar and Grill is the studio sponsor for the Smokin Gunz Podcast, no matter where we are. We're on the wild, wild western side of San Antonio today.
They're here with us.
They're here. We are often in the Rose Palace, and they're there.
Yep.
And we've even been out to JD's Bar and Grill, and surprisingly enough, they were there too.
Shocked.
JD's Bar and Grill is over on 410 at the Rigsby exit, just across from the Security Services Union, Federal Credit Union. And they are, they're a great place to go enjoy whatever you're watching.
Lots of TVs. Yep.
Major League Baseball is in full swing right now. Yep. Get it? Swing? Get it?
Swing.
Get it? Full swing.
And a miss.
Not only that, you've got the push to the playoffs right now for all of the NBA teams.
Yep. Including our Spurs trying to get in that last spot.
Yeah, we'll see. And NHL playoffs is coming up very soon, too, for those of you that watch hockey. Lots of sports to watch right now. Lots of things to pay attention to. You can go out to JD's Bar and Grill and enjoy a cold drink, some hot food, watch your favorite game, play some pool. It's a great place to just gather with some friends.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not obtrusive. It's exactly the kind of bar that you want to go to just hang out.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy going on. There's not weird people there. It's just
friendly service, friendly people, good drinks.
Yeah. Plenty of TVs for you to watch your favorite sports stuff on, or just hang out and talk with your friends.
It's a hangout kind of place.
Very much so. So go check them out. JD's Bar and Grill over on 410 at the Rigsby exit, just across from Security Services, Security
Service Federal Credit Union.
Go give them a try. Make sure you mention that you're a Gunslingers fan and that you heard about it on the Smokin Gunz Podcast. They do great things for us. We want to make sure that they know that you heard about them here. Speaking of sponsors that we love, let's talk about hot sauce. Teardrop Pepper Company.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about them for a while, and I think we're going to be talking about them forever because Chris does a great job with that hot sauce.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
He's got his golden habanero, just spectacular.
Goes on everything.
The Supreme Serrano is good. Yeah, I haven't tried it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I need to try. I hope he comes out to the game on the 24th so that I can sample it. Because I haven't sampled it.
You haven't sampled it?
I haven't even sampled it yet.
It's good stuff, yeah.
And then he's working on a third one.
That's the one I can't wait to try.
Working his way through the third one. He says it's going to be a little warm.
Pretty spicy.
A little warm. So you need to place your order now because you ran out already. I don't know if you noticed or not, but you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is. You need to order more because even if you're on, even if you've only got, I'm not out. I have 4 bottles left. That's not enough.
It's going to run out quick.
You need more. So go to teardroppepepperco.com. Use the offer code ARENA, ARENA. Save 10% on your order and help Chris out, Chris and Sarah. And put it on everything. Like, seriously, put it on everything.
Pizza, burgers.
God, it's great on pizza.
Eggs. I mean,
I need to put it on a burger.
Peanut butter, apparently. I still haven't tried that sandwich. Yet.
Jonas Clark, our buddy Jonas Clark, that puts it on peanut butter sandwiches. Good on him. I haven't tried that yet.
I'm going to try it.
So put it on everything. Follow them on social media, Teardrop Pepper Co., on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And then just order their product, put it on everything. They're going to make some more. Smokin Gunz Podcast, Philip Higginbotham, R.C. Woods, Leo Yamas, talking with you about Gunslingers football, and specifically the Gunslingers versus North Texas, the game we witnessed just a week ago on Monday night. And we're into the fourth quarter.
Right.
And we score a touchdown.
We do.
I believe that was the Joey Fisher touchdown.
Yes.
That takes a 1-point lead.
1 point.
Right? 15-14.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was 14-9.
Yep.
We score the touchdown. Don't convert on any kind of extra point. And so we have a 1-point lead, and I don't feel comfortable with that at all.
No one does.
No.
Like
Nobody does.
I'm not comfortable with this 1-point lead business. And there's a reason for that. Because with a minute and some change to go, North Texas is able to find the end zone. And let me point out, I'm not sure their receiver caught that ball in bounds. Have you watched that?
I did. I remember you talking about that, and I went back and looked at it, and it's hard to tell, but he sure does look like he's past the end zone. Like, yeah.
He looks like he comes down in dirt to me.
Yes.
Now, there's no definitive view of it. I
Right.
thought it when it happened, and I've watched a couple of different angles of it. You can't really tell. I only point that out to say, who knows on this stuff?
Right. Yes.
Like, we have to go with what the officials are telling us on some
Exactly.
of this kind of stuff. I have to take them at their word that there's no reason they would give North Texas a touchdown with a minute and change left in the fourth quarter of a game unless they thought he had scored a touchdown. And that's going to come back in a minute. But at the time, I thought, I don't know that he came down in the end zone. I think it was out of the back of the end zone. And I may be wrong. I'm not saying that's just what I saw. San Antonio gets the ball with almost no time to work with. And the hero of the game, I think you and I both talked about this in post-game, although I don't remember very clearly. Sean Mueller.
Yes.
He makes a catch over the wall, which was just incredible.
It was.
Yeah. Upended over the wall, but makes the catch, comes up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those plays where, and I haven't heard anybody argue, but like if you're up over the wall and your feet are never on the turf, did you catch it in bounds? But at some point, you got to give somebody credit for just an amazingly athletic play.
Yeah.
And you got to give them that catch. And they did. They gave him the catch. Then, I believe it was two plays later, Sean Mueller catches the ball right in the about 3 yards from the end zone. Nobody on him. He spins around and just kind of walks into the end zone.
Yeah, because there was a defender towards the sideline, so he spun back towards the
middle of the field
and towards the end zone and just walked in, and he reached over with his hand to make sure he broke the plane in case there was a defender coming at him to keep him from getting there, but there wasn't anybody close enough. But yeah, heck of a play by Sean, heck of a drive by Sean where he kind of put the team on his shoulders. I mean, Olivera got him the ball, you know.
Right.
So it was
Team
Olivera
effort.
and Mueller both, but
Team effort.
Mueller has to complete those plays, and he completed them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then next to me was Sean Mueller's mom. So
Oh,
they
yeah?
were going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you. Oh, my God.
Just an incredibly athletic play over the wall. And then just a heads-up play there in the middle of the field.
Right.
To, like you say, turn away from the defense, extend the ball over, guarantee that you've got that touchdown. And then.
Here we go.
So there was a lot of confusion on the San Antonio Gunslingers sidelines about what they wanted to do next. Did they want to kick the field goal and tie the game because they're down by 1 at that point? Or do they want to go for 2 and win or lose? And I will tell you that you kick the field goal every time.
Yes, I would agree with that.
You kick the field goal. All things even.
Right.
You trust your kicking game. You know, all of those things. You've in traditional football, situation, you kick the field goal, you take the tie. We find out what overtime looks like in the American Arena League.
And Manny's a great kicker, so I mean, yeah.
And eventually, the coaches decided that's what they wanted to do.
After some discussion.
As you know, if you're listening, if you're not, stop this right now. Go to
watch
YouTube and watch
the game.
watch this point on before you listen to any of this, because I don't want to spoil it. The snap on the extra point was good.
It was a good snap, yes.
The hold, look, the ball is slicker than you think it is. I realize that anybody that's watching that hasn't done this job, that hasn't put this ball down for a kick, doesn't realize the split-second amount of time there is in a hold. And so lots of people love to make fun of Tony Romo, and anytime a holder has the ball slip through his hands, they love to make fun of that.
It's a tough job.
It's tough. It's one of the tougher jobs that nobody really gives any credit to in football. The ball flies through or squirts through the holder's hands, and the holder is
Khalil Rashad.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
At that point, it's broken. Like, the whole play is broken. We're not going to have a field goal here.
Right.
Yeah. He tried to recover it, but not in time. And then even
Who? Manny?
Manny, thank you. Manny just stops and moved his. When he saw that, Manny started running a route, like, because he knew he was going to have to. Yeah.
Khalil Rashad takes the ball away from the defenders who are already coming in on him.
Right.
Looks across the field and toward the end zone and just kind of throws up a
prayer
Hail Mary
of a ball.
Yes.
It ricochets off of a Bulls player. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So
It's bobbling up and down.
Go ahead.
Over.
So he throws up a prayer, but he throws up a prayer, I think, saying, this is my best shot. If I have a prayer that's going to be answered, this is where it's going to be answered, because
he had
going
2 or 3 guys over there.
Yeah, in the area. So that's why he's going that direction, which was all the way across the field.
Right.
And so continue. It bounces off of defenders.
Bounces off a defender who is in the end zone.
Yes.
The ball bounces still in the air. It ricochets off a defender who is in the end zone, out of the end zone. And then at that point, even in the pictures of the video, you kind of lose what happens to it.
True.
Joey Fisher is laying on the ground, and over the top of him, diving to grab this ball that's still in the air is, remind me, because now my memory's not there.
The running back.
Isaiah
White. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isaiah White is coming over the top. Joey Fisher is below. One of those guys gets the ball.
I think it was Joey Fisher.
I think it was Joey.
Yes.
And that's what I saw from the booth. Now, remember, our booth is actually right over this play. Like, we for all the times we complain about we weren't in a good spot,
you were in a
this
good
time
spot.
we were in a good spot.
Yes.
Because we were looking directly down on this play. And Joey Fisher gets that ball. That ball falls into his hands, who's laying on the turf. He is not contacted, and he rolls toward the end zone.
Exactly.
And breaks the plane.
Yes.
Touch. 2-point conversion, and the Gunslingers have a 1-point lead with something like 11 seconds left in the game.
Right.
Yeah. So the confusion there between who caught it was because I believe what happens is, as you said, the ball falls into Joey Fisher's hands as he's either falling to the turf or on the turf, and he rolls into the end zone. As he's rolling, Isaiah White is above him and reaches down instinctively, because you don't want this ball to hit the turf at all. You want to make sure it's secured. Right. And so he reaches down and gets his hands on the ball. I don't think it was simultaneously. I think just after Joey Fisher does, as he's rolling into the end zone, and kind of takes it, strips it. Fisher lets him go because he's standing in the end zone, further into the end zone. And then the celebration just, ensues. So some people say it was Isaiah White who caught it. Some people say it was Joey Fisher. As I saw it, I think it was Fisher, 3/4 of the catch, and then the last quarter of the catch goes to Isaiah White, if you want to call it that way.
Right. Which, I don't know how you put that on a stat sheet at all. North Texas unable to do anything with the final 11 seconds. They had 2 or 3 plays.
They did.
But between that score, that 2-point conversion, and their ability to use that final 11 seconds and make something happen,
Kerfuffle.
something happened.
Crappy kerfuffle.
There was a stop down and play at least 5.5 or so minutes long.
It seemed
Seemed
like
like
an
forever.
eternity. Yes.
It doesn't play as long. If you watch the video and watch it in real time, it does not seem as long as it felt like at the time.
Oh my gosh, felt
Because
like
we were
forever.
wondering what
Because
the
you
heck
know
is
what
going
the
on.
outcome will be now,
Yeah.
but you didn't at the time. Look, head coach Victor Mann wanted wanted to understand what had happened, and so he needed to talk to
He knew it was the ball game. I mean,
the referee.
That was it. Yeah.
And so he wanted to have that conversation. I do not in any way fault him for that. I need to have a conversation with the person that's calling this play good because it was such a close play. It was really on the line.
yeah, but not a conversation with every single official on the field, which it seems like what happened, right?
Right. He has a conversation with the head referee, with the head official. He has conversations with 2 of the other officials and the head official. He walks across the field and has a conversation with the 4th official who he has not talked to up to this point. He walks back across and talks to the head official. Somebody comes on the field with a cell phone
Right.
with
I don't
video
understand
of
that.
the play.
That was pointless.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And so here's the thing. I know who it was, and I think they were actually trying to help.
Yeah, no.
The Gunslingers?
I get that. That wasn't the pointless part. The pointless part was why the referees even wanted to look at it.
Exactly.
Because it
At that
shouldn't
point,
be,
it's
it's not official.
It can't
Right.
be anything that you base any kind of decision on. But they do. They stop down and they watch some video. At the end of it all, it's called good, as it should have been. Whatever it was called on the field. And I would say this if it had been called no good too. Whatever it was called as on the field is what it has to be because
Right.
there's no
Right.
there's
Changing
no
minds.
recourse at
Right.
that point. And you can't, and I think you made the point on the broadcast, Leo, you cannot. I don't know what head coach Victor Mann for the North Texas Bulls was hoping because at that point, if you argue long enough and they change the call, that sets a terrible precedent for the
Horrible.
second
Yes.
half of the
Horrible.
season.
Yes.
Like if I argue long enough, they'll change a call.
Right.
I would,
That's not how things work.
you know, at that point, the ownership of the Gunslingers is going to take Coach Q and they're going to teach him how to never let go of an argument with a referee because
Right.
you can change everything that way. I understand why he was frustrated. I still understand why he was frustrated. It was on the line, and it was the play that was going to make the difference in the game, and everybody knew that's what it was.
True.
Right.
So I understand why he was upset. But there has to be a point that,
Enough is enough.
we move on and we play some football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity
And the refs
to do something.
the refs let that carry on way longer
Way
than they
too long.
should have.
And I mentioned that I was going to be the squeaky wheel and say something to the American Arena League in hopes that they're listening. Let your officials know. Like, take this video. You can take, I'm giving you permission to take our video, show it to officials from this point forward and say, never let this happen again.
Right.
You make a call, you stand by your call.
And that's it.
You move coaches off the field. If they want to file a grievance, they can file a grievance with the league office at another time. This is not going to ever happen again because it really was a bad look.
The league has permission to use our video.
It came across
The
like,
league
like
does.
a,
Yes, the league.
yes. It came across like he was whiny, like a crying baby, like he just, was pouting. The fans were going hysterical.
Look,
they
he's
were
going to
taking
talk.
way too long.
Here's what I want to say because I don't know if Coach Mann listens. I hope he does.
Tyrone does.
I like I like the team they've put together. I think that this is going to be really interesting when we come to June, which is
Oh, yeah,
more
can't wait.
conversation.
Right, yeah.
I don't blame that conversation, or I don't blame most of that going on way too long on Coach Mann. It's that moment, he is passionate.
Of course.
He wants to do right by his team. He is going to argue the point as long as he feels like he can argue the point and make some sort of headway.
As long as the officials allowed him to, yes.
Right. The officials have the job in that point to say the call is made. Right. It's not getting reversed. You need to go to your sideline now.
Right.
That's on them. That's not on him. Right. He's not in an emotional state. I'm not calling him an emotional guy. But at that point, his passion is out overriding this idea of, you're right, we need to get on with the football game, because he feels like he's been wronged at that point. I don't blame that on the coach near as much as I blame it on officials who are not willing to take control and say, Coach, call's been made. You need to go back to your sideline so we can move on.
Right. I kind of feel like he was allowed to take advantage of that situation. You know what I mean? And the only reason he was allowed was because the officials weren't saying, hey, we're done. We made the decision. Let's continue with the game. Yeah. That never happened. Or it did happen, but it took too long.
So the call goes our way.
Yeah. Eventually.
Well,
to begin with, and
from
then
the start,
stayed that way.
And then it stayed that way. I will tell you that when I watched it happen live with my eyeballs, I thought the call was the wrong call.
You told me, yeah. I thought
I'll be really honest with you. I thought Joey Fisher controlled the ball on the turf and had to have been, and this was my thought process, had to have been contacted while he was on the wrong side of the line, which would mean he did not break the plane while the play was active.
And just to show you how close that was, I was sitting a foot and a half to your left, and looked down and said, I saw him come down with the ball right over the goal line where it looked like he was breaking the plane as he came down untouched and rolled into the end zone.
Right.
And I'm standing literally right next to you. So seeing it two different ways, standing right next to each other from almost the same angle, this is how close it was.
Right. Now I've watched, like I said, I've watched video. I've looked at
the pictures
from
Ray.
From Ray. I now don't see any contact that was ever made with Joey Fisher.
Yeah.
So
he reached over the guy's head.
Right. Yeah. My supposition in the moment was he had to have been contacted while he was on the ground before he rolled to the end zone. And that's why I felt like it was a wrong call. And I told Leo that, not on the air, but I told Leo, I don't think it's good. I don't think it was the good call, the right call. I've gone back and watched it now, and I do think that it was probably the correct call. But that's how close it was.
Yes.
I talked to other people who also, it's split on people who are right there in the vicinity who are willing to be unbiased enough to say what they actually thought when the play happened. Now, most people you talk to were in Gunslingers uniforms because it was right there in the Gunslingers bench side, and they all saw that it was good, good by a mile.
From where I was, it was good. You know what I mean? I was way on the other end. It was good in my mind.
But I've talked to some people, and I'm not going to mention their name because I don't want anybody to be upset with them, but I've talked to some people that have said, I didn't think it was good. I thought they made the wrong call. They didn't, or it doesn't appear they didn't. That's not the call they made. But the real the only problem I have with all of this is just the officials allowing
the discussion
and the conversation to go on too long.
Yes, too long.
Way too long.
It was just ridiculous.
I mean, some of the officiating crew was standing on the other side of the field waiting for the next kickoff, as well as some of the Bulls players.
So the Bulls kickoff coverage team, their kick cover team, not kick cover team, their kick receiving team made their way onto the field and set up, and were standing there for 4 or 5 minutes.
Yes, like lollygagging.
They know that there's no point in arguing this anymore, that it can't be overturned. The players understand that it's time to move on with it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't blame that so much on Victor Mann. I blame that more on referees not taking control and saying
there's a lack of
the decision's been made. You want to file a grievance later with the league, that's fine. Move on.
Had it gone 1 minute longer, I think Cheeto's dad would have had a heart attack. He was yelling his butt off. Oh my God.
There was certainly a moment in the midst of that where, there's a few minutes as a fan, and I'm able to do this. I'm able to say, this is what I was feeling as a fan. This is what I'm feeling as an impartial person just kind of watching this game. As a fan, there was a moment where it's like, get off the field. Oh, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
Come on, we need to play. And then there's this moment where it goes on just long enough that you're like, are they actually going to
change it?
Are they going to actually change this?
Yeah.
Becoming incredulous. Like, really? Is this what's happening?
Are we actually going to see something really crazy happen here?
I think everybody would have thrown the yellow flags inside the arena.
Oh, man. Then, yeah, I think it would have been
crazy.
justified throwing all those flags on the field.
So there was a game way back in the late 90s between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns where the referees made a wrong call, and I don't remember what the call was. But whatever the call was, it incensed the fans so badly. I want to say it was in Cleveland. You might correct me if I'm wrong. That fans began throwing their beers on the field. Cups of beer, bottles of beer, everything they could on the field. And the referees called the game with time left on the clock because there was not a safe area. If they had overturned that call,
it would have been like that. Chaos.
I fear there would have been something similar.
Yes.
Yeah, there would have been some really unruly fans.
It made for a classic ending to a game.
For sure.
Yeah.
No matter who had won or what way the call had gone, it was really just kind of a heart-stopping moment for all the marbles.
It was the emphatic, the emphatic ending or resulting moment of the anti-arena game, because it was an arena football game, but it was so anti what you expect from arena that made it fascinating.
Sure.
That's true.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take another break real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about what this means for the future of the Gunslingers and what we know about the future of the Gunslingers. But there's a really important game coming up on June 5th now.
Wow.
That is really going to be an interesting game.
Big time.
Big game. So we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. Stick with us right here at Smokin Gunz Podcast. We'll be right back with you after this. Smokin Gunz Podcast is excited to offer you an opportunity to be a part of our team.
Yes.
We have a great team. We have a full team.
We do.
Well, it's not full. We've got a large team, but there's always room for more people.
We could always use some more members of the posse.
Absolutely. And the easiest way for you to do that and support the show, let us know that we're doing a good job, is to go to patreon.com/SmokinGunzPod. That's smoking no G, guns with a Z, POD, and sign up to be a patron at either the $5, the $10, or the $20 level. It helps us pay our bills. We've got hosting bills. We've got a lot of equipment that we have bought here that we'd like to get paid off at some point soon.
Right.
We've got a lot going on that we've put some money into that we need some help with. And you just help make the show go when $5 is not much. It's a cup of coffee. And we can keep doing the show and keep making things work for the rest of the season. We're getting down to the playoff push, and this is the time that you're going to want this show so that you can keep track of everything that's going on with the Gunslingers. So if you're able, head over to patreon.com, go to SmokinGunzPod at patreon.com, and support us at either the $5, the $10, the $20 level. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you be part of our team. Smokin Gunz Podcast, Philip Higginbotham, Leo Yamas, R.C. Woods, sitting around talking about Gunslingers football, specifically talking about our game just a week ago against the North Texas Bulls. Instant classic, if I do say so myself.
And I always say like bull slaughter, but it really wasn't a slaughter. You know what I mean?
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, it was a battle
was
down
a battle.
to the end. Yeah. Two teams that really wanted it, and I think that sets up something very interesting coming up in a little over a month. No.
Well, when they hear it, it's going to be
in a month. Yeah.
A month from the day this drops.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. June 5th.
June 5th, when the Gunslingers head out to North Texas to the Fort Worth Convention Center, take on the North Texas Bulls. That's going to be huge.
Oh my gosh.
Really
Epic.
big,
It's
yes.
really going to be.
That's just going to be a huge game.
Come on, Gunslingers posse. Let's make that road
we
trip.
Need, we
Yeah.
need some fans.
Drive on up there. Get your tickets. Go up there. Just blow them out. Like, you're not going to have an opportunity very often with the Gunslingers to have games close enough to enjoy.
Right.
Road games. There was one in Mississippi. There was supposed to be one in West Texas.
Not.
That didn't happen. But even then, you weren't driving 8 hours out to El Paso
At
to
least I
go out to
wasn't.
Gunslingers game. So this is the one road game. This is the one road trip that's reasonable. And hey, it's Fort Worth. Like, Fort Worth is great.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up on the other side, so it's hard for me to say that. I grew up in the Dallas area, and there is there is
Controversy?
certainly just a
Competition?
rivalry.
Okay.
You know, there's Fort Worth and there's Dallas, and you're supposed to think things about the other side of the Metroplex, but Fort Worth is great. Like, it's a
Not
great
the
area.
traffic, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, any metro traffic in all of Texas stinks. You know, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and the Metroplex. They're all terrible.
Yep.
There is no good traffic anywhere. But, yeah, head out to Fort Worth on the 5th. This game's going to be at 7:30. You get to go out and see their red field. They have a bright red field. Actually, it's kind of a faded red field. But
The inflatable.
the
dasher.
inflatable dasher boards, which I'm a fan of, and you are not.
I am not.
And the kids will be out of school hopefully by then.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah.
Yep.
That's my birthday week, too.
Ooh.
So we, I'm excited.
Party.
I'm ready
You're
to.
going to be what, 40 what? 41.
Yep, 41. I'm just steering into it at this point. Like, I'm not
What's wrong
ashamed
with
of my
41?
age
What's
anymore.
wrong
I'm
with
just going to steer
41?
right into it.
I wish I could be 41 again.
I'd rather be like 21 again, but I mean,
No.
No
30s.
way. No.
Late
no.
20s, early 30s. I'd go for that area, but not early 20s.
I'd be happy with 41. That's
so
like,
we were talking before the break about that play.
Yes.
And we talked a lot about that play, and then we talked about the kerfuffle after the play.
Yes.
And I laid the blame squarely not on Victor Mann or the
Cursed
Bulls,
kerfuffle.
but really on the officials. They didn't take
Exactly.
control of the moment like they should.
Come on, guys.
But the Bulls had an opportunity there at the end of the game to
They did.
to
It was
change.
almost close.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
they almost
Really
did.
close. Yeah, that's right.
right?
I got a little nervous.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, after the long pass play, yeah, because they made their way down the field on one big play.
Right.
And they had
And
a
then-
lot to prove. You know what I mean? Like they were going to give it their 110%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure they felt robbed.
Now I know that Tavis Holland, who plays, he's number 4 for the Bulls.
Yeah.
Every time we had a game from that first game on, no matter what our score was, he would come back and be like,
Not going to be enough.
that's not enough to beat us. Whatever our score was, like, that's not enough to beat us.
23 was
Tavis,
enough.
If you're listening, was 23 enough? Because I think 23 was enough,
It
right?
was enough.
It was. Officially, it was.
Just by one.
I mean, if you're going to dish it out, you got to be
You
able
got
to
to be
take
able
it.
to take it.
So
Speaking
Mr.
of dishing
Tavis.
out,
it is what it is.
remember
What?
number one, the guy from the Bulls, he had a horrible attitude. And I had mentioned it on the Facebook page how he was shooting us a certain finger.
Oh, yeah.
Did not like that at all.
Yeah.
Did-
He was saying you guys are number one.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. No, he was not.
You fans are number 1.
No,
That's what
I
he
didn't
was
like
saying.
that.
Was that Solomon number one? Was he number one? I can't remember his number.
I'm not looking at my roster right now.
Yeah.
But
me
he
neither.
was. But I know he was number one because I was like, ooh, I need to talk to your mama.
And RC does talk to mamas.
She
That's
does. So with talking about the Bulls players that you didn't really like their attitude,
I did not.
I'm going to swing another direction right now. And I'm going to turn and
Uh-oh.
start swinging on somebody else.
Ooh,
So
not the fans.
Break out the ruler.
I mentioned earlier, and not all the fans.
No.
This is not directed at all the fans, but I mentioned earlier that I'd had a conversation with Grayson Noletta. He is the play-by-play guy and the broadcast guy for
Nice guy.
the North Texas Bulls. Really nice guy. Wore a Hawaiian shirt. Like, you saw him on the other side of the field.
Right.
If you were there, you saw him set up. an issue near the end of the game with some drunken San Antonio Gunslingers fans.
Not cool.
Unfortunate.
Who
Come on,
took
guys.
their Gunslingers hat that they're super proud of. I'm holding mine up right now. I get that. And decided to take that and start waving it in front of their camera. And then when they tried to move that person out of the way, there was nearly a physical altercation.
Horrible.
Let me tell you right now, like, look, I get it. We're all Gunslingers fans. We love our team. We want to give the other guys a hard time because that's what you do.
Right.
But I am also in that same boat as Grayson when we go to another arena.
Right. We don't.
And I can tell you right now, that's bull crap.
Yeah.
Like, if that was you, if you're a listener of this show and you're mad at me because I'm fixing to really rip you a new one, and I am, and you never listen to my show again, I'm okay with that because that is the most juvenile and ridiculous behavior. That guy's doing his job. He is just trying to do what he's supposed to do at the games and send that game back to their fans up in North Texas that are watching on their feed. And you decided to, poke fun at that and then tried to get in a physical altercation with a dude over him doing his job. That is bull crap. That is Bush League.
Yeah, we wouldn't like that to happen to us. At
Of
another,
course not.
You make San Antonio look bad. You
True.
make the Gunslingers organization look bad. You make all of us look bad when you act like that. And so if that was you and you don't like the way I'm calling you out, you message me and we'll meet one-on-one. We'll talk about it because that's ridiculous.
Ouch. Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. That guy's doing his job. He is just there doing his job. And when I'm doing my job up in North Texas, when we go up there to do that game, if somebody treats me like that, you would have my back. You as a Gunslinger fan would be like, that's ridiculous. Well, flip it around and realize who you were and maybe reach out and apologize. That's the way that should go. If you're mad at me and you want to fight, I guess we'll have to meet and figure that out. I'm not going to fight you, but we'll have to have a discussion, have a conversation. But what you should really do is realize that you acted like a juvenile prick and you should apologize in whatever way you feel like that would be necessary. And if you need to get that to me so that I can get it over to Grayson, I'll do that for you. But that's ridiculous. That guy's doing his job. He is just set up where he can because there's not a lot of space there. And he's doing what he can do. And you decide to make his job harder because he happens to work for the other team. That's crazy.
And when you say job, I'm sure he may not even be paid a lot. You know, he may be doing it just because he loves the game, because he loves the Bulls. Or,
I know he's not getting paid anything.
Yeah, there you go. And so, he's doing it
is
because he wants to. And then to get that abuse, totally uncalled for.
He is doing this because he hopes to do this for a career. And so this is an opportunity for him to get some time and some
build his resume.
Yeah,
Right.
build his resume. And so my understanding is he's not getting paid at all. So this guy is giving his time to do a job that he wants to do, and you just made his job harder. Just ridiculous. And if that's you and you're mad at me, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Forget that. I'm not sorry you're mad at me. That's ridiculous. That's juvenile behavior, and I'm going to call it out every time I see it, and I'm just going to call this one out. Pow!
Oh my gosh! You
Wow,
scared me.
you
Bang bang! That for sure was a bang. I thought that was the thunder outside.
Scared RC.
That's that whack with the ruler on the hand. You know, like
Yeah.
the nuns coming out. Wah!
I'm telling you.
That's it. That's Phil's pow to that guy.
Right.
Whoever
Yeah.
that was. Come on, man.
And
Come on, man.
And if we
Right.
need to have a conversation, we can. That's fine. I'm not gonna, like I say, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not that guy. You might be that guy. I'm not that guy. But to threaten a guy and to cause a physical or nearly cause a physical altercation with a dude who's just doing his job. I mean, I don't really even care what the guy's job is at that point.
Right, exactly.
That's ridiculous. Like anybody that goes to somebody else's job or sees somebody else doing their job and makes their job harder,
Uncalled
that's
for.
wrong. It's just wrong. It doesn't matter what the job is. It just happens that this is something that I get to do here in a few weeks on the flip side. And I don't want to be treated like that when I'm in some, like when we went to Mississippi, everybody there was incredible.
They were so nice to us.
And that speaks to their organization, and that speaks to the city of Hattiesburg and the people there.
Very unraider like. Just kidding.
Well, now Grayson can't tell that same story about San Antonio.
Yeah, exactly.
He has a different story that he has to tell about San Antonio because of one idiot or a group of idiots. He told me it was one person, but my bet is there was a couple of you guys.
Come
just
on,
not,
man.
Not okay. Not okay. And he didn't want to come. Like, I offered to have him come on and talk about it. He's like, no, I'm not going to do all of that. He said, I'm beyond it. It's past. Well, he may be beyond it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Because
Obviously.
that's just ridiculous. So this sets up this big game that we were just talking about on the 5th. Leo, what are we going to see on the, well, let's get to the 5th first. Let's let everybody know what we know. Right. It was supposed to be a game on the 1st where we went to West Texas, went out to El Paso. That didn't happen.
Not.
El Paso is, West Texas is not coming from El Paso here on the 10th.
Nope. Unfortunately, they have
COVID
pretty much
issues.
called it for the season.
Is it all COVID or not COVID, or is there other stuff that we just don't know about?
It's a bunch of stuff that has resulted from the COVID setbacks in El Paso. So it's not directly attributed, but it's kind of a snowball effect that all started because of how hard El Paso was hit and all the things they were dealing with.
If you're wondering what the rumbling you're hearing behind us is, just remember that we recorded this on... No, because we just had some really good questions.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. But
we recorded this on Monday night. Now I want you to think back to that huge storm that rolled through on Monday night. Yeah, that's what you're hearing. Because I just looked at the radar, and it's a big one.
Oh, no.
That's going to roll right over the top of San Antonio.
I hate driving in the rain. I know after this, I'm going to head on home.
So we know that West Texas is not coming out here. As far as will there be a game on the 10th? I can tell you that I believe that the Gunslingers are efforting to try to find a replacement team, but that is getting more and more difficult.
Yes.
And every day that passes, it's even more difficult because you're getting closer and closer. The teams that they kind of thought would work out with all had scheduling conflicts that would not allow. And so now they're expanding that search area, but the further away you get from San Antonio, the harder it is to convince a team to come play you on 2 weeks notice or about 2 weeks notice. So they're doing what they can. Keep your ear to the ground as far as social media is concerned. And maybe they will find something. The next game we know for sure is coming, though, will be Mississippi coming into the Rose Palace. And I'm blanking on the date. I think it's the 24th, right? Yes, it's the 24th. Monday the 24th. That'll be the final home game of the season.
Return of Boss Hog.
Boss Hog is coming back in. He's playing for the Mississippi Raiders. So he'll come back down. We'll get a chance to see him and see how he's doing.
That's the last home game, right, for the season?
That's the last home game for the season.
So if you haven't been out to one, you definitely have to go to this one.
Let's do it upright. Let's get everybody there. Have a great time. You know, last home games in high school football is always senior night. It's always a big deal. You make a lot. It's your chance to say thank you to the football team for the season that they've had. This is your opportunity in San Antonio to say thank you for the season that the San Antonio Gunslingers have had. So you need to do that.
For sure.
As far as we know, that'll be the last home game.
Okay.
Yes.
We've been told that the playoffs won't be here.
I was going to ask you, so what does that mean for the playoffs for us? Because we're missing that game. Or missing the El Paso League's games.
Don't know.
Okay.
We honestly don't know. We know we're going to finish with a 7-game schedule, it looks like, unless they can schedule one more game.
Okay.
But we're going to finish with a 7-game schedule. It will either be, let's see, what are we, 4-1 now? So we could be anywhere from 4-3 to 6-1. And the other teams in our division seem to have a similar sized schedule as far as games, which means one of these 3 teams, because now there's only 3 teams in the division at this point,
right?
If West Texas is taken out of there, one of these teams will be the division winner. It looks like that'll either be North Texas or us. It doesn't look like Austin is going to compete for that.
Yeah, they're a couple games back.
Yeah. And with only a couple of games to play at this point.
Exactly.
So that game on the 5th, in North Texas, in Fort Worth, in the Fort Worth Convention Center, may be for the division.
Very likely, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it may truly be for the division unless North Texas messes around and loses one of these. I think they've got 2 games between now and then.
Yeah, I think so.
If they mess around and lose one of those games, maybe there's a difference, but I don't expect that. They're a really good football team.
And so
yeah,
I'm a little
I don't
confused.
see
So
that either.
are they canceling the team or are they forfeiting? It's like, do we still get the W for that game or no? Or just canceled?
That's a great question.
Oh, okay.
That's a fair question. I think that is a question that has been asked. I know that's a question I've asked ownership for the Gunslingers. I have been told that's a question that the Gunslingers ownership has asked the league and has never received a
Definitive answer?
There you go. Perfect way to say that. A
Okay.
definitive answer on. I think the league is waiting to see how everything shakes out.
Okay.
And hopefully they won't have to make any definitive decisions if there's not anything definitive to decide. In other words,
They don't know.
at this point, like I said, like I laid out, it looks like San Antonio versus North Texas on the last week of the season. That's the last week of the regular season. Will be for the division.
Wow.
Because we've won one and they've won one.
Yep.
I think that kind of saved their bacon at the league office, because if North Texas had won,
Right.
but then San Antonio comes back and wins, and then there's a disparity in schedule, well, what?
Right.
How
Determine
does
that.
all of that work? So I think this win last week kind of saved the league from having to make a definitive decision and say this is how, because North Texas has counted 2 wins against West Texas.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
They've got a forfeit win according to the schedule, and then they've got the 66-0 game that stopped in the third quarter.
Right.
We have not been able to play West Texas at all.
I
No.
know.
We did not get that opportunity.
And so those won't go on our schedule as far as I know. Although, if they're going to allow the 66-0, and I think, Leo, you and I have had this conversation offline. The 66-0 win should count.
Oh, that for sure.
Because
Yeah.
they played most of the
Most
game.
of the game.
Because they played the game and
minus
they beat
5
them.
minutes or something. Right?
However, if we're not able to schedule and play a game, I really feel like the forfeit win should not count. Because it's that they didn't play, and we didn't play.
There was
then
no
Dallas
game.
actually
Right.
went over there to El Paso. And
They did,
right?
and that's where things start getting really dicey. So they
Yeah.
actually drove over there. They should get shouldn't they get the forfeit win because they drove over there? I don't know. So you're telling me we don't get a win just because we didn't spend
Money to
the
go
money
over
to go over there
And gas
and
and-
see that their
Field wasn't good.
field is not playable.
Right.
That doesn't seem fair to me. I'll tell you, this whole situation, I'm glad I'm not in the league office because it's a tough call.
Yes.
Very tricky.
But I really do think like this game and the result of this game kind of saved them from having to make a definitive decision right away. When we get to the 5th and that game is played, here's what I would love to see happen. I don't know if this can, but I would love to see this happen. I would love to see either team win the division.
Okay.
North Texas or San Antonio, one of those 2 teams will win the division. I would love to see the schedules work out in such a way that the other team receives the wild card in the AAL. Because there are 3 division winners, and then the wild card. If that happens, why not have San Antonio and North Texas play again
There you go.
on a 4th game?
A play-in game.
A wild card game
Yep.
against with those 2 teams in the whoever won the division in their home field. So maybe there would be another home game here in San Antonio.
You
That
never
would be
know.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
For all the marbles. So I would love to see that particular kind of thing work out where San Antonio and North Texas get to play each other one more time in the playoffs.
I think that'd be great.
I think that would just solidify this
It's going to be
This
intense.
The
rivalry.
Yes, for
Yes.
sure.
Although, do you want to do that, or would you rather see them both go play somebody else in the playoffs? Because there's 4 teams in the playoffs. Each team go play somebody else and have an opportunity to meet in the championship.
Somebody else. I mean, even if you're rivals, you want your division representatives to go far into the playoffs or even to the championship. If you get to the championship against each other, well, then fine, and that's even more testament to the strength of your division.
Right.
But if you're knocking each other out at the very beginning, then that kind of stinks.
And the other team to really keep an eye on in the AAL, I think everybody's in agreement, is the Charlotte Thunder at this point.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte looks really, really good. I haven't seen another team that really impresses me. And I haven't been able to watch much of Charlotte play, but I've seen the scores they're putting up, and both on the offensive and defensive side, they're putting up very nice looking scores. They, by all accounts, they are the team. They are one of the best teams in the league.
Yep.
So,
Definitely keep an eye on them.
but it's all going to come down to that game on the 5th.
Fifth.
That's going to be a big deal, and then the playoffs start the very next week on the 12th.
Wow.
So that's going to be how things will shake out, and we are taking guesses at this point as to how all of that will be. I know early in the season, the ownership was told that most likely they would need to be prepared to go over to the East Coast where most teams are travel-wise.
I want to go to Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I've seen the Chicago team play.
Not.
I don't think that's going to be an issue. But it seems like having one game here, instead of having both teams travel, it would be smarter to have one game here in Texas.
True.
And then just have to have one team travel. So maybe just for that reason alone, you may see that work out that way. Remember, we're dealing with
COVID.
well, there's always that. But
Always.
we're also dealing with guys that are working on shoestring budgets on all of the teams. Every team is kind of working that way. What do you got, Leo? You're checking something out. What are you checking out there?
I'm checking out the details on, because we're talking about things that are coming up. And
Yeah.
I just need to make sure that we mention the tryout.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Oh, that's right.
if you're listening to this on Wednesday morning,
Yes, you still have time.
Cinco de Mayo.
you have time to reach out to the team and get set up for a tryout because they still need what? Offensive linemen. They're looking for another quarterback
Yep, and a running back.
and a running back, which is interesting. You could always use help at the offensive line. Like you'll
Yeah,
never,
absolutely.
you never feel like you have enough of that. Quarterback, David has been serviceable.
He's been doing well.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with David. I don't think they're looking for anybody necessarily to come in and take over for David or
I don't
anything.
think so
I don't
either.
think they're unhappy with that. But injuries happen. Things happen.
Yeah. I mean,
And right now,
if David goes down, yeah, they're
Who do we have?
they want to have somebody set up and ready to go behind them. Right now they do. But those players play other positions as
Right.
well.
Like
And
Armand Lott, right?
Yeah, like Armand and Nico, I think, are the
Yeah.
two guys that they've told me would be the backup sort of quarterbacks. But those guys are playing other positions as well.
And doing it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what's the other one? Oh, running back.
yes, running
Which
back.
is the one I find really interesting because I feel like they've got too many running backs as it stands.
Yeah, well, they have running backs that they play at wide receiver.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure if they're looking for something different. I mean, we know they have the power back with Callaway. Although Isaiah White showed us some pretty
Right.
good things
Yeah.
in this last game.
Oh,
He had
Isaiah
some
White
nice
looked
runs.
great, yeah. So interesting that those are the three positions. It's funny, somebody on some of the social media somewhere, when they posted the graphic for the tryout, said something about it being a cash grab or so. They intimated that the team was just trying to make money.
You
And I
think
was
so?
like, that's not how that works. So
It's only, what, $25 or something?
it's $25, and they're only trying out for those three positions.
They
right.
charge more for hats.
If I'm if I'm going to do a cash grab as a team and use a tryout as a way to make money,
Yeah, not.
it's $60, and whatever position you want to try out for, come try out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm trying to gather as many people as I can to get and put as much money in my pocket, even though I'm only looking for I don't have to tell anybody else I'm only looking for
Right.
those three
Right.
positions. And so just the nature of how it's set up tells me that this is a real honest tryout. It's not a
Right.
cash grab. I have seen teams that have used their
Yeah, it
tryouts
happens,
as a
but
way
that's
to
not the case here. I don't
to
think.
bolster some income, but that does not look like to me that's what's happening. You have to have some sort of buy-in. Like, I can already hear somebody going, well, if you need people to try out, why are you charging them? Because
Just
it's
like
got to cost you
cheerleaders.
something.
Yeah.
You
You have to make sure that you're invested. If you can't even pay the $25, then are you really invested?
right. We talked about this all the way back
Yes.
in
Yeah.
July, I think,
We sure
at the
did.
beginning of the season. If you're not willing to bet on yourself,
Yeah.
$25,
Why should
don't
we?
come try out.
Yeah, why should
Yeah.
we?
Why should I spend my time watching you if you're not
Right.
willing to
You
bet
spend-
$25 on yourself?
Spend more than that at the bar, you know.
Right. On
Yeah.
a gunslinger set.
Yeah, on a gunslinger's hat. Yeah.
On the Gunslinger's hat.
Yeah, so that's tonight it says 7 p.m., but I have heard from ownership. I've heard, I've had messages saying 6:30.
Yeah,
I
I
would
would
say
be there
be-
early.
I get there
Be
early.
early, yeah.
And you can get all that information on Facebook, on their web, or
Also
on their
Instagram.
Facebook page,
Instagram.
also on their Instagram, and that will give you location and how to make contact with them to make sure they know you're coming. And yeah, if you're running late and you're not going to get there till 7:10, save your gas.
Yeah.
Because I know these guys, and that is almost a guaranteed way to
Not get on a team.
to not make it through this tryout is to show up 10 minutes late.
And it is cash only.
Yeah.
They're not going to have, some device there to take
No
credit
swipe?
cards.
Yeah,
or
don't
anything. This
bring
is at a
don't bring your
field.
debit card
Yeah.
so that you can swipe on their square.
No
They don't
checks.
have that. Yeah, don't bring a check. A money order? Will you take a money order? Can I bring Bitcoin? Can I PayPal you? Just
Venmo.
bring $25 cash.
Venmo?
Venmo. That's the thing. Cash App,
That is. Yep.
Bitcoin,
Yeah.
Dogecoin. What is Dogecoin? Is that the new one?
I don't know. Yeah.
So that's going on tonight when this episode drops. So if you're listening to this on the 5th, you have some time to get out there and try out and be part of what we hope is going to be a playoff team.
That's right.
They got 2 games left, and they're in the driver's seat right now.
Yep.
Looking
they are
good.
in the lead.
They are leading the division as things stand right now.
4-1.
I know there has been some conversation. I'm not going to mention his name. Maybe I will at some point if we can connect with him a little more. But there's a guy that does some inside the arena stuff. And he was mentioning that the AAL original or has had issues in the past with playoff positions. He kind of worried me. And then I listened really carefully to what he said. Did you hear this? I know you heard the video. I know you watched
We
the
all
video,
did,
Leo.
Yes.
But did you listen really carefully to what he said? Because he said that some team got or a few years ago, got a playoff position taken away from them. But then as he described it, the team was unable to travel.
Right, due to
Right.
cost.
They couldn't travel
They
to the
could,
game.
Yeah, they could not
Yeah.
make the travel. The next team down in the division could. So the league said, well, a playoff game is better than no playoff game. So we're going to award the playoff position to the team that can actually make the travel.
That
Kind
sounds
of
logical
makes
to me.
sense.
It sounds
That's
logical.
not, to me, that's not a team. Like,
Forfeit.
that's not it getting taken away from you. That
Right.
is you relinquishing your playoff
Yes.
spot to the next team down.
because you're unable to.
To pay.
Yeah, you're unable to do it. Yep.
So I maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if he listens. If he does, he'll have no problem reaching out to me because he's
Vocal.
he's vocal. And so he'll reach out to me and tell me how I'm wrong on that. But the way he described that, I thought,
That's what it sounded like.
was
yeah.
just a team that relinquished their playoffs. Now, you can have a whole conversation about can you do that in the higher leagues of professional football, that would be, or professional sports, that would be frowned upon.
Right.
You're right.
But we're not there. Like, we're in a different level of sport right now. And ultimately, the league, if that's their thought process, is a playoff game is better than no playoff game, and just awarding a bye week onto the championship game, because there's only 1 week of playoffs before you go to the championship game. So that would be allowing a team to walk from the regular season into the championship game if you did not do what the league ultimately did.
He came across like he just wanted to stir the pot.
Maybe. Maybe. He's been around. He has been watching this for a while, maybe, certainly longer than I have as far as the AAL So he may have more insight than I do. I just felt like that particular description was not, he was not defining that correctly. They didn't get a playoff spot ripped away from them as much as they relinquished a playoff spot because they couldn't afford the travel.
Have you ever seen him on the podcast? Has he ever responded or commented on anything?
No, he comments pretty regularly on
the fan page, the Coach's Corner.
Fan page of Coach's Corner, and during the
games
on the broadcast. Yeah. And he watches the broadcast pretty regularly.
So he's aware of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And so, like I say, he'll know who I'm talking about, and
we all know.
He'll reach out to me or won't. We'll see. But as far as that is concerned, I know he put that out there where fans could watch it. And my first watch through, I begin to get concerned because we don't know a ton about the American Arena League, and we've never seen what the playoff picture looks like. And so when he said something like that, I started getting concerned. And then I played it again and listened really carefully. And I'm like, wait a second. That sounds like they had more control over that than he made it sound like originally. So we're going to have some time off before this next game, it looks like.
Sure seems that way.
It certainly seems like the only thing that we know for sure on the schedule is the 24th against the Mississippi Raiders. What that really means for you guys as Gunslingers fans is you can't forget that it's here.
Stay focused.
Don't lose the yellow towel.
That's a great way to say that. Don't lose the yellow, put the yellow towel up somewhere where you see it on a regular basis over the next few weeks. And remember that you've got a game coming up on the 24th. If nothing else pops up between now and then.
The Gunslingers are going to stay focused.
Yeah.
And if you want to see that, just go out to practice.
That's true.
Open practices. So.
Right. Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've always welcomed folks out there before.
Yep. The tryouts open.
They're going to, because Dudley's going to try to go out there and watch, or was before it got moved. It got moved for weather reasons.
True. Right. That was a bad storm
last week.
Last week.
But, and remember, this may be your last chance for a while to see a Gunslinger game. So if you've been thinking about it, or you came to one game earlier this season and you're like, I got to make it out there again, that was a great time, because it is. The atmosphere is spectacular. And if you thought, man, I want to make it out there for one more, well, this is your chance.
Better do it.
Unless something weird happens and we wind up with a playoff game in San Antonio, which you can't guarantee. You can't even plan on. This is going to be your last opportunity to see the Gunslingers play in Rose Palace. If you haven't been out to a game at all, this is the last chance you have to do that.
That's right.
And be at the inaugural season. Be at one of the inaugural season games of the Gunslingers. So what you can do right now, I mean, it seems like it's a ways off. It's May 24th, which is 19 days from now. As this comes out on Wednesday.
5th, yeah.
19 days away, but you can buy your tickets now.
That's
you can go to gunslingers.com, SanAntonioGunslingers.com. Yeah?
SanAntonioGunslingers.com.
And you can order your tickets now so that they know you're coming.
That's right.
And we can get all things set up. We can tailgate again.
That's right.
One more time.
So much fun.
Yeah. It's been smaller, but I don't mind that.
I don't mind at all.
Yeah.
I enjoy going out there. We only get a few minutes to go out there and hang out with folks because we're setting up things for the broadcast. But we've had a good time doing that and spending time with fans in the tailgating area, even though it's smaller.
Yeah. I get to meet everybody, take pictures. There's a big group from Chicago, and I'm from Chicago. They say they're from Chicago, but they're really like East Indiana, but they claim they're from Chicago. Only if you're in Chicago, you would know about that. But anyway, so there was 7 or 8 guys. They all had cup shirts on.
Right.
And that's what grabbed my attention. So I had so much fun tailgating. I mean, just meeting the people and passing out the yellow towels and hearing their stories. And, everyone said they came out once and they had to come again.
Yeah, it's a great experience. Like, if you haven't made it out there, you don't know. If you have made it out there, it's a great atmosphere. It's
and a couple things, they're allowing you to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Get in the restroom.
Yeah. And parking is $10, first come, first serve. Remember, it was $20.
Yeah, we need to tip our hat to the Gunslingers organization. We've done this before when they've made some changes and we've said, hey, good on you. for listening and making some changes.
Gold star.
We've done that. Every time they've done that, we need to do that again. So they made that decision to have the preferred parking area
Right.
at $20 and the rest of the parking at $10. They didn't raise parking. They just had a preferred area for $20. You, the fan, said,
No way.
We don't really like that.
No.
And to their credit, the Gunslingers said, okay,
That's right.
everything's back at $10. We'll just do all the parking at $10, but with the caveat of please pay attention to the handicap areas
Yes.
and
Oh,
leave
true.
them open and available.
Yeah. Then Andy Anderson's been coming.
Yeah,
Love him.
the Desperado. Isn't that what you called him, Leo?
Desperado. I didn't call him. I copied that from
From Garrett Grayson.
Grayson, yeah.
did that on their very first broadcast there at the Palace. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
but yeah, Andy's been out there. We've seen robots.
Robots.
We've seen cowboys.
Cheerleaders.
We've seen
They're
football.
really good. The
We've seen
cheerleaders.
cheerleaders.
That's right.
All kinds of stuff. I wonder what we're gonna see on the 24th. Like, I
Who
wonder
knows?
what the 24th is gonna look like.
They tend to surprise us on things.
We're gonna see a hog, or we're gonna see Boss Hog.
Yeah.
Boss Hog, yeah.
He's gonna. Well, I assume like that's a long time from now.
right. You never know.
I assume
You never
we're gonna
know.
see Boss
You never
Hog
know
out
with
there.
him.
And remember, Mississippi is the team that this all started with. Like this whole win streak started there
It's true.
in Mississippi. That was the first win, and they're not a pushover team.
No.
So that could be a good game. And all of this talk about the 5th and what a great game that's going to be.
Don't look past these guys.
You
no.
can't look past the Mississippi Raiders. They come down here and beat you, and all of a sudden it's not the same game anymore because North Texas still has the inside track. Because they only have one loss, and you've got two because you looked past them.
Right.
So we don't want to do that. So that's what's coming up. That's Gunslingers World in the future.
And we're going to try to have some mom-to-moms and have some special
Okay.
guests like for the next couple of weeks to fill in some time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got some time to go. And keep your ear to the ground. The Gunslingers, even if we don't have a game, I think they're working on some special events.
Maybe some
Yeah.
kind of event,
And
yes.
some things to gather fans together to keep everybody engaged because they don't want you to forget they're there. It's kind of
Yeah.
a weird thing to have a 3-week layoff.
Right. In the event that they can't have a game for that long, through no fault of their own.
Right. This
you
is
know,
this is not their fault.
Right.
You could lay the blame at West Texas Buccaneers. I don't really feel like that's even fair. They got handled. They got dealt a bad deck. They got dealt a bad hand.
Got dealt a bad name.
Well, that is what it is. They're the Buccaneers. They're out there on the oceans of El Paso.
The oceans of El Paso.
They're the Buccaneers, but they really did get dealt a bad hand. So
They
you
did.
could blame
They
them
did.
if you wanted to. I
We'll
don't.
just
I
blame
don't really
COVID.
think
Let's just
that's
blame
fair.
COVID.
But yeah, this is not the Gunslingers' fault, which is something I've told Hector a couple of times as he's been talking about what this does to our record and what the league has said about that. And I'm like, if they penalize you for something that's not your fault,
totally out of your control. Then, yeah.
that's not cool.
So
That's
not
not
cool.
something that's okay. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be the way things go. But we're all learning.
Mm-hmm.
We're all learning what the American Arena League is like. I have some opinions, but I'm going to keep them to myself because I don't have all the opinions. I don't have all the information.
That's true.
I don't get all the information that ownership gets.
We get tidbits. That's all we get, tidbits.
We're privy to very little.
The most important thing.
Almost none. Like we're almost locked
Right.
out of information.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't go that far.
It was sort of a pun.
Is
From
it?
today, locked out.
Oh, see, nobody knows that. Nobody
I know.
Nobody
but,
understands
okay, that's
the
an
joke.
inside joke
That's an inside joke. I love inside jokes.
between the three of us.
Love to be a part of one day. That's also an inside joke. That's an Office reference there. So that's what the things look like. So what do you need to do as a Gunslinger fan? You need to buy your tickets for the 24th because we know there's going to be a game there. You need to be ready. You need to clear that day on your schedule
Yep.
so that you're ready to come out and cheer on the Gunslingers one more time. And then you need to go to the North Texas Bulls site and buy your tickets for that game too. And just surprise. Look, I've seen the game that they've had one game in Fort Worth so far. I saw the number of people they had there. I'm telling you right now,
We will outnumber them.
we could outnumber them in
baby.
their own stadium. How
That
cool
would be
that be?
awesome.
Like it's a home game for them, and there's more fans cheering for the Gunslingers than for their Bulls. How great would that be?
I have a great idea. You know I have great ideas, right?
Right at the end of the show, usually.
So how about if everyone brings a cutout? You know how they were doing at the baseball games? And they had cutouts at the games? Everyone brings a cutout, so it looks like we have more fans.
Well, that is way more involved than a yellow towel to
Oh,
wave
come
at the
on. You
game.
can do it.
I mean, you've got time to
You do
make a
have time.
life-size cutout of yourself.
I didn't say life size. You can just bring like the head size, shoulders,
But it still has to be
something.
their size, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Or it could be a kid size.
So go get your tickets. Go get your tickets for the Raiders. Go get your tickets for the game up in North Texas, up in Fort Worth. Consider it a birthday present to me.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
That's what you're doing. For my birthday, you're going to come enjoy the game with me.
Yeah.
But don't talk to me while I'm there.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm busy. No, I'm just kidding.
You can talk to me.
Yeah, come hang out with me for my birthday there in Fort Worth, and we'll watch North Texas and San Antonio, round 3. It's going to be
Round
incredible.
3 of this heavyweight fight.
It's going to be a big deal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Both games are close. Like this last game was only 1 point. The other game was a
1
lot closer than
point.
it looked too.
Yes.
These are two teams that are pretty evenly matched. And so we're going to see what happens. Well, it's been a weird episode. We've had
As hailstorms.
we've had hailstorms.
Dog passing gas.
We did we did not mention it through the show, but we have had some dog farts that wow.
Pretty rank.
Pretty yeah. You might have been able to smell them as you were
Maybe.
listening to the show. You might have picked that up. No, we've had a weird show. I had a business meeting in the middle of the show that we had to shut everything down for while I finished a meeting. Lots of weird stuff going on, but as it happens, all these things come to an end. So we got to wrap this one up. So there's nothing left to say. But Smokin Gunz Podcast is brought to you by
Texas Sports LMT specializes in sports massage, sports stretch, Swedish and deep tissue massage. Texas Sports LMT has been in business 8 years and was nominated Best of San Antonio 3 years in a row. That's pretty impressive. She works alongside the San Antonio Commanders, making sure they were game day ready at all times back in the day. She's also worked and provided sports stretch to numerous players from the NFL and the NFL Combine. Sports stretch is structured to be performed on athletes of any size or stature. It's safe for just about anyone who's looking to gain flexibility in order to perform better on the field, in the gym, and in everyday activities. Give Laura, the Texas Sports LMT, a call to set up an appointment today. You can reach her at 210-459-0176. Again, that's 210-459-0176. It's not how you train, it's how you recover.
Smokin Gunz Podcast is also brought to you by our amazing Patreons.
Super duper amazing.
Our patrons are Iris and Mo Ferrante,
Yes.
Herman Robles Jr.,
Herman.
Alba Nava,
Hey, Alba.
Greg and Kim Nelson,
Love you guys.
Humphrey Hernandez,
Humphrey.
Adriana Garcia, and our buddy, Warren Hubert.
Thanks.
The guy that's
guys.
responsible for all
Yeah.
of this. Like, he's the one that started this whole ball rolling.
He
didn't
brought us together.
So we're really thankful. You can be on that list too if you go to patreon.com/SmokinGunzPod. We will thank you at the end of every episode because we really do appreciate it.
We do.
It's not something we're just joking about. We really appreciate all of those folks. And they've been part of our team, and we really think of them that way. Like, they're part of what we do.
Yes.
And they make this thing go. Well, that's going to wrap it up. So when it comes to football in San Antonio, we've got a message. We've got a message for all of the AAL. We've got a message for the North Texas Bulls. I think they've heard it now.
The enemy. Yes.
We've got a message for the Austin Wild. They've heard it twice.
Yep.
We got a message for the Mississippi Raiders out there in Hattiesburg.
Come and get some.
They're coming down, and they're going to give it a try. But we've also got a message for the Tampa Tornadoes
Yep.
and the Charlotte Thunder
Uh-huh.
and the Georgia Lions. Is that a thing? There's all kinds of teams out there that we haven't even seen yet. The St. Louis Bandits
Yeah.
out there in the Missouri area.
Banditos.
We got a message for all of those folks. When it comes to football here in the American Arena League, the 210, we got something to say.
Bang, bang.